I came in today feeling pretty good, so it's a really good sign, obviously, for his status in terms of practicing tomorrow. We'll see how he comes in, but today was a very good day.
Sense of relief then, just based on head injuries and what you know? How was your
Yeah,
practice?
yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a pretty good sense not right away necessarily, but by the time he left, that it wasn't necessarily going to be a head injury. So that had us feeling pretty good. But with the nature of the hit that he took, you're going to continue to be cautious and make sure that he's feeling good before he gets back on the ice. But as I said, today was a good day for him.
After Muzzin getting through what he was able to do today, is it looking better, like he might be available for the trip?
Yeah, I think we're trending that way. But as I just said, we're going to
No, I'm
continue.
sorry, Muzzin.
I know.
Oh, sorry.
So as I was saying in relation to head injuries, with the nature of the hit to the head, you're going to make sure that nothing else pops up. So we'll continue to be cautious, but it was another really good day for him.
You put Pierre Engvall in there. Obviously, he can play center and skate with those guys. But just your thoughts on White and why maybe him as opposed to someone else, and what you like about his game lately.
Well, I've liked a lot of things about his game lately. That has nothing to do with why he filled Austin's spot for today. As I said, things were trending in a good spot that Austin was going to be okay. So it was more just a placeholder for the day. But it's a chance to get him up in our top nine and play with those players for practice, and I think he's deserved that. I think he's played very well. His minutes have reduced, but he's found a way to continue to be good. I think he's helped Spez and Simmons since he's been down there. So I'm really encouraged with what he's done, and this. Today, like I said, it's just a placeholder for the day, but it was just about getting him a chance to practice with those players. We were doing a lot of offensive pieces today, so getting him with those guys, I thought was a good chance. And at the same time, as I did think about putting Spez in that spot, but Pierre's a left shot, just like Austin, so there's some similarities that way in terms of how the players play off of that on the rush and things like that.
Is he kind of valuable to you as well because he can play a lot of positions? He can fit in a lot of lines. Like Churchill can do it as well. But you got three of those guys.
Yeah, you need to have those players. I mean, things happen, injuries or performance, whatever it is. You need to have players that can move around. And Pierre is one of those guys. He and I have spoken about it. He feels most comfortable on the wing, and we've tried to use him primarily there. And he's done a good job for us, as I've said. But we have had to use him at center at different times. We've had to use him at right wing, and he's taken those challenges on, and he's done well with it. We've used him on the power play, used him on the penalty kill. So he's been a very important player for us, and he's just going to continue to get better.
You had a
Was
couple of.
pretty excited just talking about his experience at the All-Star game. Is there something to the fact that maybe that gives a guy a boost coming off that first experience, or is it just kind of more of the same moving forward for him?
I would think it would give a guy a boost. I mean, I think his confidence is already in a good place, and he's earned that with how he's played. But anytime you get to go to an event like that, and there's a lot of attention around you, and you're surrounded by the best of the best, uh, that can't help but to give you a boost. And maybe you learn something along the way as you're interacting with those guys. You become friends with guys that you didn't necessarily know, and there's value inside that. So I think that whole experience can help a player, especially when it's their first time going. Yeah, he's come back. He's come back in good spirits, which is not a big surprise. He's usually in pretty good spirits, but other than him being, I think, a little tired from the journey and coming back and all of that kind of stuff, I know Austin has gone through that a little bit too with the time change and lack of sleep and all those type of things, as usually occurs when you're coming back from the West. He's been good, and Steve was really happy with his work the last few days, and he'll be ready for Calgary.
Curious about one thing. You and Carolina, two very good teams, of course. Both have the lowest amount of block shots in the league. Do you pay attention to something like that? Is it one of those statistical things that just varies rink to rink? Do you notice it?
I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the stat of it. There's certainly times when we watch pucks that come to our net, can we do a better job of being in the lane and preventing it from getting there? The actual stat itself, there's a lot of noise inside that stat. Where we're one of the teams, as is Carolina, that spend a low amount of time on our own end. So if there's less pucks heading towards our net, we have less opportunity to block them. So that's part of it. But when I look just at last night's game as an example, I think there were times when there were times last night that I thought we could have done a better job at being in the lane, and sometimes I feel like if you do your job defensively and you're in the lane and you close space, you should discourage the shot. I prefer we discourage the shot than block the shot, frankly. If they can't direct the puck to the net and they have to put it back to another spot where we can then kill the play and break out, that's better to me than allowing teams to just continuously disrupt or to continuously put it towards your net, because you are going to block a good percentage of them, but some are going to find their way through, and that's trouble. And I thought we'd let some get through last night that I'd like to do a better job of. But like I said, the stat itself is not something I focus on too much.
What's allowed Alex Kerfoot to develop more of a consistent role this season?
I would say, like we talked about this, he's back now for his third year here. I think he's very comfortable. He's part of our leadership group. He's a very well-respected and well-liked guy in our room. And I think with that comes extra confidence. We've given him great responsibilities. Whether it's last season and he, was playing in the third line as a center and taking a lot of checking responsibilities, or the fact that he's now developed into a very good penalty killer, for a guy that came over from Colorado and wasn't killing penalties at all. He's just evolved into being a guy that's counted on our team. And he's a very selfless player and selfless teammate. He's all about the team and going out and doing what's asked of him. He gives you his absolute best effort every night. So I think all those things combined, he's just a very, very good, consistent player for us.
How does he make that jump to the leadership group? Because I'm assuming that's a new thing.
Yeah, it was. It's a new thing for him this season. Yeah, I think, like I was saying, he's a very well-liked and respected teammate, and it really comes through the leadership group themselves, thinking they wanted him to be a part of it, and we had spoken about that, and I agreed. I think it makes a lot of sense, and he's been a good add to it. He's got a lot of great perspective on things, great insight on what's happening. He's got some different experiences coming from a different organization. He's played different roles and played around our lineup. A lot of our leadership group tends to be guys that are at the top of the lineup. So he's got those different perspectives, as does Jason Spezza in his experience and the role he plays with us. And those are very, very valuable additions to the group.
How did that face-off goal play come together? Is that something that's called from the bench, or the players just know that it's in their back pocket? And do you feel it works better a play like that later in the period? Because I know Rod had mentioned that they took a breath at the end of the period. Like, how does a play like that come together?
Yeah, well, we don't call too many plays from the bench itself. Sometimes out of TV timeouts and things of that nature, but the players have a good sense of what our bank of plays might be. And I'm not a big face-off play guy, just because there's so many variables that happen on a face-off that don't happen as clean as you like them to be. And that was one last night that came together really well. But Mitch and Austin in particular, they talk a lot and make a plan inside of what we want to do. So some of that is within the structure that we talk about, and then Manny Malhotra puts together with our plans. And then a big part of it is just the players, communicating and then most importantly executing.